So the way in which people normally try to improve descriptions of electrons in these materials is we can go really computationally expensive. So you can view all these computational techniques as being on a dial, and we can choose really expensive, but then we're going to study very, very small, tiny systems that have no practical application. And then we can go very big, but we're also going to lose all of the accuracy we had. And so a careful balance needed for any computational modeler is the balance between prediction accuracy and the ability to make a number of predictions. And so my group is really focused on finding the optimum between those two and pushing out how accurate we can be for how large a system size we can study. And so the ways in which we do that are we use high performance specialized computing. So we use graphical processing units, which dramatically speeds up the calculations we do by a couple orders of magnitude. We also focus on getting right what you can get right in terms of describing this localization and delocalization, and we're developing new methods to understand how to push that forward. What you need to start to be able to do in order to be able to do rapid screening and discovery of materials is you need to be able to put error bars on things. And so what we've started to be able to do is put error bars on some of the most difficult materials that you can possibly think about describing. And so while many predictions have been made for all sorts of types of materials, batteries, electrode materials for CO2 reduction, any number of things, they all hinge at their heart on accurate description of what the electrons are doing. And the fact is, the methods just weren't there historically. And so the important thing is really bringing computational modeling to the fore so that we can make 5 predictions and have one turn out to be right, rather than making 10 to 100 predictions and having only one turn out to be right. So when we rely only on experimental intuition, we're only going to get back out things that people have already done before. Or maybe you meet someone who happens to be a real savant and they come up with some really exciting new thing. But if you look at the speed of that discovery, it's pretty slow. We as people tend to only come up with things we've already seen before. And so we have really no great way to walk through chemical space and discover what is essentially nearly infinite types of ways atoms could be combined to make new materials. And so there are literally all over different types of chemistry and materials communities, there are databases of millions of molecules that have been experimentally synthesized. But we don't know how those molecules that exist, say for things like drug design, could be used equally applicably in material science. So one example of this is we were interested in identifying different properties of precursors used in the synthesis of quantum dots. And to make quantum dots is very challenging, and the number one thing people would like to control is their size distribution, because it controls wavelengths at which they absorb and emit light. So you'd like to make very uniform particles, and you'd like to be able to make them quite easily. And it turns out very fundamental properties of these precursors, basically the things that get mixed together to make the quantum dots, strongly control what kind of quantum dots you end up with. So on a computer, you can go ahead and you can merge together things like a drug design library database that has many possible ligands for these precursors with some model molecule that could become a precursor, and you can study maybe a couple hundred of those in a day, maybe 10,000 in a span of a few months. And you can view very wide spreads in the properties of these different precursors. You can relate them back to something that would tell you, well, this one will make a very small quantum dot, or this one will make a bigger one, and this will make one with a very wide size distribution. And to go ahead and try to do those different experiments under all those different conditions would be very expensive. It would be very time consuming. Many are air sensitive, or they're very difficult experiments. They have to be run at a certain temperature. Basic things that are very easy for us to calculate on a computer can straightforwardly say, you should do the experiment with this precursor versus with this other one. And the ability to screen through a couple hundred of these is something that helps us. Not only do we see a wide range of predictions, but we can connect those predictions back to fundamental understanding and then say, well, we found out this one was good and this one was bad, so now let's look more in the direction of these good properties. And let's understand why. What is the underlying chemistry going on that's dictating this process?